Feeling tone. And I'd love to start with a little story. Does anyone know who Viktor Frankl is? Psychiatrist. No, yeah, psychiatrist. And Viktor Frankl was a really incredible person. He was a psychiatrist and a neurologist who was Jewish, living in Germany at the time of the Holocaust. And he was put in Auschwitz and was separated from all of his loved ones, lost everyone except for his sister. And he decided that he, through this intense time, through witnessing the probably one of the worst things that humanity could see, he wanted to find meaning in life. He wanted to find the importance of finding meaning in all forms of existence, even the most brutal ones. And so after he came out of the concentration camp, he wrote a book called Nevertheless, Say Yes to Life: Psychologist Experiences from the Concentration Camps. And he also has this one really powerful quote that's used often in mindfulness, and it's very empowering, and it kind of speaks to what we're going to be talking about today. And it's written on your homework too, so you don't have to write it down. But the quote is, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power and freedom to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and happiness." It's pretty powerful for someone who is experiencing, the deepest, most brutal experience of human life in a way. And he also has a quote that says, "The one thing you can't take away from me is the way I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedom is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance." And so this practice of mindfulness, what it offers us is really being able to find that space between stimulus, which is experience, any experience of life, and our response to that stimulus. And so through practice and through what we're going to go over now, we can kind of find, all right, what lies in that space? And how can I, instead of habitually reacting and just kind of going through life without any control, how can I fine-tune my response in a way that is wise, that is caring, that is authentic, that's real? So, feeling tone. Feeling tone is also known as affective balance. You're in school for psychology, right?
That was Cambria.
Oh, Cambria, yeah. So, so the psychological term that's closest to feeling tone is affective balance or balance. And basically, every experience that we have has a corresponding feeling tone: positive, negative, or neutral. So everything that we have is either we feel it as positive, negative, or neutral. And this is not emotions. This is kind of precedes emotions. It's the unconscious, immediate evaluation of experience. So just as an experiential practice, I'm going to just ring this bell and just see how you feel. Is that positive for you? Negative for some, maybe? It's kind of loud, so maybe it was a little bit negative. What if I go like this? It's like immediate negative reaction, right? And so the strongest of these two, of course, is positive and negative. It's kind of what guides our movement through the world. And most of the time we're unaware. Like that practice made us very hyper-aware of what the feeling tone of that experience was. But most of the time it's just, we have an experience and we have a feeling tone, and then we have an associated emotional reaction, and then we have a thought, and then, that's how our life goes. So there's a great quote by Sylvia Boorstein, and this is basically her definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the aware, balanced acceptance of the present experience. And it isn't more complicated than that. It is opening to or receiving the present moment, pleasant or unpleasant just as it is, without either clinging to it or rejecting it. So why is it important to know our feeling tone, our reaction, our habitual reaction to life? We live with a lot of reactivity, right? Has anyone done something and then regretted it?
No.
No, never, right? Not me. And it happens a lot. We have these experiences, we're like, oh God, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? Or, and then comes the self-critic, and it's just kind of a loop-de-loop. But knowing the feeling tone, which colors our experience and leads to this habitual response to that space, being able to witness it helps us to feel that gap in between stimulus and response. It lies right in there. The feeling tone is stimulus, and then we have the feeling tone, and then our response happens. So if we can get to the feeling tone, we can open up a space to have awareness there and say, oh, I'm feeling negative about this situation. Maybe I should just experience that negative feeling instead of, I love this example of just go eat a piece of chocolate cake. I've definitely experienced emotional eating before. Okay, so let's just do a little practice right now. So go ahead and close your eyes, just so you can kind of experience, how this shows up for you. So I'm just going to mention things, experiences that you might have, and notice what shows up for you. If it's a positive, if it's a negative, if it's a neutral. So you see a really good friend who you haven't seen in a long time. You win some money. Your cell phone rings during this meditation. You get cut off in traffic. It's free ice cream day. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. So, did you notice? Could you feel a little bit of the sense of feeling tone?
I just felt like it was just taking us to places, right? Like we were being given emotions.
Yeah.
Like ice cream, ooh, good. Traffic, ooh, horrible. Like, wow, that's probably how life is. Just giving you all of this.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally. All day long. And it's almost always unconscious. And so that's why mindful awareness brings us to the ability to choose how we respond. Rather than just like getting cut off and flipping off the guy in front of us. I mean, maybe none of you do that, but I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But, it's empowering us. And this is the most powerful part of this practice, in my opinion. So I'm just going to move a little bit further. So our automatic responses, as I said, are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And when we have the automatic response of pleasant, oftentimes it comes as a desire for something or a demand for something. So chocolate cake, you want to eat more. This is where addiction comes in. We want to hold on to pleasure. And then the unpleasant response after that usually is aversion. So we have an unpleasant experience in meditation, our back starts to hurt. And then we want to move our body because that alleviates the unpleasant situation. Or we have a tough conversation that we have to do. We just kind of avoid it for a couple of days because we have an aversion to unpleasantness in our life. Makes sense. Go for the pleasure, go away from the pain. But it's interesting when we look at this, like when we try to hold on to pleasure, when we try to get more, does it work? Can you ever really hold on? How long can you hold on to something that's pleasurable? Chocolate cake ends, And then when we try and move away from something, oftentimes it doesn't work either. That conversation is going to have to happen. Or the pain might arise again in your practice. So it's building this resilience, this ability to just show up for whatever is there. And then the neutral one as well. The reaction to that is oftentimes just spacing out, which I'm sure we've all done in our meditation practice and not. And so, yeah, when we come to the breath in our meditation, sometimes it gets very boring. Because we're just like, all right, we're breathing, I see it, I feel it, and then our mind just starts to kind of space out because it's just a neutral experience. And the thing about these reactions is that they can change. So I like to point at the color of the wall. So you can look at the color of the wall, and what kind of a reaction does it evoke? Positive, negative, neutral? Neutral, yeah. But if you look at it and you think about it, like it's really, really white, and maybe it's kind of feels like a hospital, and so I don't really like that color, and then you have these thoughts, and then it becomes negative. And then, so it's always changing. There's nothing that is kind of innate about experience and our reaction to it. All right, so I'm going to continue on. We're going to do a little practice and a meditation on feeling tone and hearing.